I'd like you to tell me a little about yourself, and also, why did you choose to work at Binance?
Two good questions. One, I am 25 years working now. I've spent, over 20 of those years working in media, entertainment. Before I entered into crypto, I was working in the sports and entertainment space and in the biggest agency in the world. We worked with everyone from Tom Cruise to Jared Butler, who I know you've had on the show, to Ronaldo. I worked a lot on F1. And it was through F1 that I suppose my eyes were opened up to the world of cryptocurrency and blockchain.
Yeah, because that's a very different world from where you came from.
Exactly. But what was extraordinary is Liberty Media had acquired Formula One. They were completely overhauling the platform. And I'm sure you've got some fans among your audience of the Formula One concept that have joined recently because the Netflix show and, all of the new initiatives that they've done around it. But as we were kind of building what was the marketing plan for Formula One and the different teams that I was working with, we kept getting incoming from cryptocurrency companies who were really interested to partner with F1 to reach new audiences. And obviously, Formula One is the most technologically advanced sport in the world. And these cryptocurrency founders were trying to find new ways to tell stories to introduce crypto into that space. And as I was speaking with these founders and I really had the opportunity to work and meet everyone, I started learning a lot about the Bitcoin standard, about the evolution of that space. It was still so young. This is 5 years ago. And if you think about it, Binance is only 8 years as a business and, the industry itself is only really 15 years old. So I had this extraordinary introduction to it. I brought some of the big cryptocurrency companies into Formula One and to work with different sports and entertainment talent. And one of the brands approached me and said, you seem really passionate about this space. And we'd love if you could help us understand how to do marketing. Because we know how to do digital assets and we know how to build tools, but we don't know how to tell stories about it. And I remember I went to my CEO at CAA Sports and said, look, I know I've got a dream job. My husband was very upset. He was like, are all my sports tickets gone from now? But I was so compelled by the fact that the blockchain could solve some major issues that we see with the current financial system. I suppose the biggest issue being that there's still 1.7 billion people around the world unbanked. And I said, if in 50 years or probably less than that, but if I'm on my deathbed and looking back at my life, what do I want to have done in the world? And even if I can play a tiny, tiny role in a positive transformation of our financial system, I decided that I would jump in. I was very lucky. I had a security blanket. The CEO was like, okay, I'll give you a year. If you love it, we'll support you. And if you don't like it, there's a job, you come back to us. So my husband was like, okay, I still get the tickets. I'm okay with that. And I made the jump in and I made that jump fully in about 4 years ago. And I haven't looked back since. I joined Binance just under 3 years ago. And it's been such a privilege, to be at the helm of the biggest cryptocurrency exchange globally. We're celebrating 8 years, but we just hit 280 million users. And
how many?
280 million.
Okay.
So, what's extraordinary about that is like 1 in 20 people have a Binance account, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
We're operating in 180 countries. Thankfully, I've got a very big team that understands, how we need to build at the local level. I've got an amazing team here in Brazil that I love spending time with because, you learn so much on the ground with them about how we need to adapt and what products and services we need to do. But ultimately, I joined because of the opportunity to put financial control back in the hands of individuals rather than it being dictated by systems that didn't necessarily always care for them. So, we're in a really privileged position at the moment.